everybody, it's Katie from Ray & Company Face Painting and Body and the Ray & Co Insiders channel. In this video, I am going to show you how to do a basic baseball tutorial for face painting. This is a great design for anybody who is volunteering at events or maybe doing contract events where you have sort of a free to the public setup and potentially long lines. So I will show you a couple of the supplies that we're going to be using today. I have my cheap Mr. bottle from a big box store. Recommend getting a couple of these to keep in your kit. I won't be using it today, but if you have some white holographic cosmetic glitter, that's always helpful. You don't have to go crazy with glitters, but having at least the white holographic glitter is very versatile. I do use two basic types of sponges when I face paint. I use these half round sponges. I think this is from sillyfarm.com and it's their store brand sponge. And then I also use these Always Wicked Art teardrop sponges. I love these. If I had to pick between the two of these, I would go for these. They're obviously smaller, so they work really nice for the face, for small faces. And I can do almost everything that I can do with this sponge, with this one, and this one also as a bonus comes in a nice shape for ears and butterfly wings, and so that's why I like it. This one is great for covering a larger area faster. In terms of line work, I like to use these Tag regular black and Tag regular white paints. They're wax-based paints, and so if you're looking for good paints for line work, make sure that you look for a brand that is wax-based instead of glycerin-based. And then let's see what else. I've got some brushes here to show you. This is from the Paint Pal Classic Brush Collection, which I highly recommend. It is runs about $25 to $30 depending on where you get it, and is, I think, very reasonable for a starter brush set that's really versatile. And so what it comes with is this 3/4 inch flat brush, a filbert brush, which they call the big drop brush, a petal brush, like a flora brush. So they call this the pretty petal brush. It does exactly that, creates pretty flower petals, and you can use that shape to do other fun techniques. And then it comes with 3 round brushes, a number 4, a number 3, and a number 1. So those are the brushes we'll be working with today. That's the brush set. I try for these basic tutorials, this is a beginner tutorial, so I try to keep my supplies limited to a basic kind of starter kit so that it's relatively easy to get into. So even though I have kind of a larger, more expansive palette over here for my kit, what I started with was something more like this, a 12 color palette. You can't see it in this picture, but it does come with black and white. If you are planning to get into face painting, I would recommend getting, a larger pot of black or white. You go through these pretty quickly, but it's also great for just practicing on your arm, especially for line work. So we're going to replicate or keep in mind these colors for this design. And if you want to snag this buyer's guide that I put together, it's how to build your first face painting starter kit, and you can head over to rayfaceart.com/learn to snag that. It has a bunch of US based suppliers and sort of budget level recommendations to get you from one tier to the next as you build your kit. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is a baseball design. You could easily adapt this to basketball or soccer. And what I'm going to go ahead and reach for first is that big drop filbert brush. I'm going to get it wet with some water. I'm going to go ahead and get my Tag regular white and activate it. I'm looking for more of a creamy consistency. And I know this light kind of blows it out, so it's harder to see, but I'm looking for a creamy consistency. And then what we want to do is, let me zoom in here for you. Then what we want to do is we just want to draw a circular shape, which is really fast with this larger brush. You can just kind of go around and do half, and then do the other half, and do the bottom, and then I kind of pat out the middle. Now I will reach for my teardrop sponge just to kind of, if your paint is streaky in the middle, you can lightly tap it with your sponge to just kind of blend it out and make it a more even color. You will probably have to squeeze it so that you get a smaller area. So don't be afraid to squeeze and warp these sponges in whatever way you need necessary. But that's what we'll do. So on the job, what I would be doing is be waiting for this white to dry and move on to the stars that are up here in this. So all these elements outside of the baseball before I lay down that red. So I'm going to go back over here to my face. I'm going to, I think I'm going to go ahead and grab my number 3 round brush. I happen to have a red paint that's in its own pot. This is a newer paint, a newer color that I got. This is Fab. So I use a lot of different brands for the solid colors, but this one happens to be made by Fab. Here, I'll grab the lid for you. Fab. And it's Rage 128. It's a good basic red for a lot of different things. Okay, so for my stars, I just go kind of old school, and I do the whole kind of drawing it like you do with a pencil. So going down and do something like that. And then I fill it in. And when you do line work with your brush, if you keep your brush perpendicular to your work surface, you're going to have greater control over it. Also having quality brushes really is key. So if you're not getting sort of the results that you want, you know, time after time after time, I would highly recommend investing in some brushes first because that might save you a lot of frustration. So then I just go in and I fill it in. We'll go ahead and add another one over here. And just because of the way the video camera is, it may not look like I'm perpendicular to my work surface, but I am. And I am kind of tweaking it based on what I'm doing, but I recommend doing line work on your arm almost every day if you can, or just keeping your paints handy, at least your black or your white, and a round brush, because if you can spend some time learning how to use it almost like a pencil, then you'll get really confident with being able to kind of come up with designs on the fly and drawing. So this is my baseball is dry now, and because I don't have any other red elements that I need to incorporate right now, I'm going to go ahead and do my baseball. I've been chatting, so now my paint I think is probably dry. I use these are all water activated paints, so they dry really quick and they also wash off really easy. They are not sweat proof or waterproof or anything like that. So to do the laces on the ball, you simply just kind of press your brush down. I am going more at an angle with my brush now, but you kind of want to alternate as you go down. And I'm trying to follow a curve that's kind of going around like this. And I'm just alternating the laces, just like that. All right, so I'm going to grab some more red and do this side. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and rinse that out. And the only other couple of elements that I added in this other face were some blue stars and some white dots. So let me rinse my brushes out for you. And these stars that I did are more like starbursts. So I'm going to grab some blue. And starbursts are something where you just kind of start in the center. My brush is perpendicular, like if I come over to the camera, if I tilt over, this is more, you know, the angle that I'm at when I'm painting. Okay. But so you guys can see what I'm doing. You go in the center and you flick out. And then you go back in the center and flick out, flick out, flick out. And it gives you these kind of nice little starbursts. So this is kind of an all-American baseball design. So that's why I do the stars. I tend to find that I do a lot of these, you know, near the 4th of July. You can adapt this design for basketball or baseball as well, and just, you know, you could just do some dots there. You could still do stars if you wanted. Maybe you make them black. Maybe you make them like yellow with the orange, you know, basketball, and you like maybe do yellow stars or something, maybe with soccer or something like that. But you can come up with some fun little elements to add. If you have the budget for some texture stencils, that's always helpful as well, but not necessary. The kids are, I've done this design just like this for many corporate events, corporate picnics and stuff where I have long lines, and the kids are just fine with it. They're off to the bounce house before you know it, and it has all come off, but they're happy when they get it done. So now I'm just going, I just loaded my white, and I'm just coming in here, adding a couple little dots to brighten things up. I'm going to go ahead and add, you know, a couple little highlights to my stars here. Now these are nice to have elements at this point, okay? This is not required. This is if you have some time left, or maybe your line is slowing down and you have time for a couple of these little details. This is all just added value to the design, but you can definitely stop at just the stars and the baseball, or you can keep adding elements. And then the faster that you get as well with laying down some of these elements, that's when you usually can buy yourself a little bit of extra time to, you know, outline things. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to outline these stars. Just like this. Now, one thing that I don't do typically, I've done it a couple of times, but one thing that I don't do typically is outline the ball. And one of the reasons why is, first of all, it is a very large area. And so usually wherever it's positioned is a little hard to kind of get that to get your line to be even. And then more often than not, it ends up coming, when I outline it, it ends up coming to look out more like an oval than it does a circular ball. So I leave that up to you guys on whether or not you want to outline it. I can try to outline it here, but you know, usually your subject is not so still. And so outlining a circle in particular that is this large on a moving target can be a little maddening. And so I don't find that it adds really that much to the design to outline it. It's a nice to have, but like I said, they're usually happy with it without it outlined. And if you know, it's hard to correct if you get the black into the white. You almost have to start over with the ball. So usually I'm just not in a position to do that with the length of my line. So that's just the decision I make the day of. So there you have it. That is the baseball, on-the-job baseball design for more high volume events, free to the public events, volunteer events, charities, and so on. Like I said, you can find me at rayfaceart.com/learn to pick up this How to Build Your First Face Painting Starter Kit Buyer's Guide. It's got several pages of my journey. It's got different budget levels in there on how to level up from a starter kit to a medium kit to a large kit, etc. And then if you want to see real life examples of these designs, you can find me on Instagram at instagram.com/rayfaceart. So with that, I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll catch you next time.